Billy, obviously you guys turned it on in the fourth, but I feel like what you said pregame was what we're talking about, long rebounds and boxing out, kind of fruition pretty ugly. And that's going to offset a poor offensive showing through three quarters, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think both teams shot the ball particularly well. Certainly, they did not shoot the ball at the clip they normally do, I should say. And they had choices to make, just like we had choices to make, right? That's where the game's played. It's kind of like loose. Every possession's kind of a loose ball. There were a lot of missed shots, and I don't know what they ended up for the game, maybe 26, I think it was. But I know at the end of three quarters, they had 24 points off a second chance. And I had mentioned to you, someone asked me about it before the game. I said they get a lot of credit for their shooting and how good they are offensively, and they're good. But a big part of their offense is their ability to offensive rebound from all five spots. And we knew that coming in there. I mentioned it before the game, and we just did not do a good enough job. And, I think you're going to have nights over 82 games where you're not going to shoot the ball particularly well. Like Jaylen Brown in that West Coast swing was like lights out the way he played. He didn't have a normal shooting night. Okay, that happens, but there's got to be other things that we do. And I thought, certainly the offense, I'll see what the numbers look like, but I felt like we generated good shots. We did not make very many at all in the first half, but it was really what gave them a big margin and disparity at the half was the offensive rebounding that they came up with.
Billy, with Kobe, he looked like a guy that missed more than 3 games. He looked kind of out of sorts. Do you think it was coming off the bench and working with maybe an unfamiliar group or an unfamiliar role, or what do you think it is? Or do you think he's just kind of tentative and maybe in his own head because it's happened 3 times?
Yeah, the one thing I think about with Kobe, was interesting. Like sometimes when Lonzo Ball would be out for a long time, you just throw him in and almost feel like he wasn't out a game. I think sometimes Kobe takes a little time to get some rhythm. And I had talked to him before shoot around. I just felt like, 6-7 minute stints, right? If you start him and then you're sitting him all the way potentially to close the second quarter, that's like 12 minutes. You know what I mean? So I tried to shorten the game a little bit for him. I don't know if, certainly we're going to move him back into the starting lineup, but with the way the minutes were, I didn't want him to sit there and get so tight and then have to come back in, off the bench sitting for a while. So, I don't think he's necessarily in a great rhythm just because of him being in and out. I think once he hopefully can get some games under his belt, he'll get back to, who he's been. And I think it will just take a little bit of time.
Obviously, part of the first quarter was missing shots, but also turnovers seems to kind of be the main thing being the hole. That doesn't feel surprising with Josh out, but how do you kind of find some calming factors for this team with him out?
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers, weren't in the first quarter. I agree, but our turnovers have not been bad. Now I do think it maybe hurt us in that first quarter. It was 4 or 5 we had. I think maybe is that what we had? Yeah. It's not great. Generally, like if you look at the shot differential, what they take? They took 102 shots to our. Was that 86? That's two things. One, we've not been a high turnover team for us, right? So you're -4 in the turnovers, and then you look at the offensive rebounding, and I've said this before, they just had way more bites at the apple on a poor shooting night. Both teams had a poor shooting night, and they had a much bigger bite at the apple with the offensive rebounds. Now, Simon's got it going big time, and he really obviously shot it incredibly well. But yeah, that when we get into these margins of discrepancy of total number of shots, we have a hard time overcoming that. And part of the reason, we were 7-3 during that stretch was if you look at it, we were about even, and that's where we got to play. Because we've not been a big turnover team, and we've not been the great offensive rebounding team. So we got to keep teams off the glass. We got to take care of the basketball. And we've done a pretty good job of getting to the rim, and we've done a good job of generating open shots. But that's the formula for us. We can't get dominated on the glass and dominated with turnovers because we just give up too many possessions because we don't have other ways to get those possessions back.
I know you're not a big look at the scoring first and foremost, but Modest the last week of games or so seems to be a lot more aggressive in that department, as well as doing other things that you like or have pointed out. Where do you think he is? Do you think he is starting to kind of be that guy that consistently emerges and can be like a 25 guy every night?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's working towards that, Joe. I think the biggest thing with him that I've been most pleased with that's been really consistent from him, he's not holding the ball and dancing with it. And I think there was times where he was trying to like size up matchups, and the defense is loaded, and he's driving into a crowd. I think I maybe mentioned that last time we spoke. I thought he was really decisive. It was like he got it and he went. And I think that's what you've got to do. And I think when he does do that, he also can. I think you were mentioning to me about, hey, can he see? Can he facilitate? Right. But when he starts dancing with it and everybody's kind of standing stationary, it's not good for him and or us. But when he's decisive, like I thought he was really decisive tonight in pick and roll, getting downhill. He was decisive when he had it in space. He went, whether it was shooting the ball or whether it was driving the ball, like he was decisive. And I think that's how he's got to play, because his skill package is very good, because he can put it down. He's got great length at the basket, and he shoots it well. You have to defend him from behind the line, and he can shoot it well. So I do think he's figuring that part of it out, of just like when and where to be decisive and then just go.
Thanks, Billy.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.